And Gaudete Sunday fits in very well with the reading of St. John the Baptist, because the whole symbolism of the fact that the Messiah is coming, he's not here yet, but he's coming soon. That was really what John the Baptist's function was. That was kind of his preaching. And they asked him, he said, "Oh, well, maybe you're the Messiah." "No, I'm not. There's one coming after me. I'm not even worthy to untie his sandal strap, but he's coming and he's coming soon." John the Baptist had very clear that aspect of his message. But there's something curious though, because when the scribes and the Pharisees, they say, "Well, if you're not the Messiah, who are you? Are you the prophet who is supposed to come?" Because they knew in sacred scriptures that right before the Messiah came, there's somebody is supposed to come and prepare his way. Because God kind of gave us some warning signs or some guideposts to know so that we would be ready. And interestingly enough, John says no. Well, they said, "Are you Elijah?" Because in, I think it's the book of Micah, it's actually one of the last things said in the entire Old Testament. They say that Elijah will come again to prepare the way. He said he will turn the hearts of fathers to children and children to fathers and prepare a people who will be ready for the coming of the Messiah. "Are you Elijah?" He said, "No." "Well, what are you?" And then he gives them his mission. "I'm the voice of one crying out in the desert." Now, you know what's funny about all this? John the Baptist, who is, by the way, the greatest prophet ever, Jesus himself said so, John the Baptist was wrong. He was wrong. Jesus himself came out later on in the Bible and says, he is Elijah who is to come. He is the prophet. And John the Baptist didn't even realize that about himself. Or if he did, he masked it in a different language, but he seemingly was wrong. Now, why is that important to you and me? There's a couple of conclusions we can draw from this. Number one, John the Baptist is one of the holiest people that's ever walked the face of the earth. Arguably, you could make a case that he's number two, next to the Blessed Virgin Mary, or number three if you include Jesus. But since Jesus is God, he's kind of got an unfair advantage, so we'll just leave him out of the equation. Arguably, you could say, well, at least since Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve were also conceived without sin, so they were like the Blessed Virgin, at least when they got started. So, top five, okay? Not too shabby out of the billions of people that have existed. John the Baptist was one of the greatest saints that has ever or will ever walk the face of the earth, and he was wrong. And that means a saint doesn't always have to be right about everything. Why am I making a big deal out of this? Because sometimes we can get scandalized or shocked when people in the church that hold positions of authority, or people that may even be canonized saints, make mistakes. One famous case was recently with Pope John Paul II. Pope St. John Paul II. A lot of people call him John Paul the Great, or they did at least. Recently, when the Vatican released its archives about the whole Cardinal McCarrick case, it came out to light that John Paul II had been told pretty clearly, hey, there are these accusations against Theodore McCarrick, and they look like they might have something to them. John Paul II clearly did not believe the accusations, and he brushed it off. Does that mean he wasn't a saint? No. It means he was wrong. He's a human being. He chose to trust the wrong people in a given moment. Was it a big mistake? Yes, it was. Did it have big consequences? Yes. But he made a mistake. Church leaders can make mistakes. Saints can make mistakes. The church's history, you can make mistakes. You make them every day, frankly. So do I. And I don't go around, I hope nobody's going around kicking dirt on you because, hey, you know what? You said the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to win last week and they didn't, or whatever. Even if it's something serious, we can make mistakes in something as sacred as our marriage and say that I trusted this person and this person somewhere down the line, didn't live up to what they should have lived up to. Does that make you a criminal? No. It means that we are human beings and we're fallible. And I think we need to learn. We are a church that forgives. We're a church also that there is space for love. We are a church that fundamentally, can I love a person who is not perfect? Absolutely. In fact, I have to. If the church taught that you only have to love perfect people, life would be real easy because you wouldn't have to love anybody. You don't just have to love Jesus and the Blessed Virgin Mary and you'd be set. Not even St. Joseph would make it. Say, he's not perfect. He doesn't get any love. The reason love is such a cool thing is precisely because people who are imperfect and are sinners merit our love. The second thing is that, like I said, St. John the Baptist had one of the most important missions in the history of the church, and he was wrong on something pretty fundamental, like who the heck he was. Now, he had clear what his job description was, and he did it. He did it very well. But that means that we don't always have to understand everything. We don't always have to feel like we're in control. Right now, we are living through, 2020 is going to go down as one of those years. It's going to be funny. You're going to look at First Communion pictures, maybe even some wedding pictures, and you're all wearing masks. It's going to be like, people are going to be like, what the heck were you doing 50 years? Oh, that was 2020. That was that year. Whoa. Yeah, it's going to go down in history. All the weird stuff that's going on. This Christmas, I guarantee you, is going to be different than most of your other Christmases. And there are going to be things that, you're going to be limited. You may or may not go to Mass, hopefully at least online, but you may or may not physically go to Mass this 2020. By the way, I recommend as many of you as possible can sign up now. There's absolutely no substitute for the Blessed Sacrament, just my 2 cents, but that's another homily. You're not going to be going to a bunch of Christmas parties. A lot of the things you would normally do on a Christmas are not going to be on your radar, okay? But God is in control. You don't have to understand everything. We don't have to understand everything. That doesn't mean that God is absent or God is taking a holiday. Mary and Joseph, you talk about somebody who had a crazy Advent and a crazy Christmas. Try being Mary and Joseph. It's like, well, first of all, this mystery pregnancy, the Holy Spirit, well, who's he? Okay. So Joseph has to wrestle with this mystery pregnancy until an angel comes and clears things up. And then 3 days before she's supposed to give birth, they get the good news, hey, you have to go on a 75-mile donkey ride into the hills. Even if you're not pregnant, that's probably not a whole barrel of laughs, okay? I was actually just yesterday preaching to a mother of a very young child who had just recently given birth. She was in the retreat. And I said, how would you like receiving that bit of news, 3 days before you gave birth? She almost fainted. But God was constantly, if you want, being annoying with Mary and Joseph and the Holy Family. And I think we can legitimately say that the most beautiful Christmas celebration in history was the real one. The one where nothing seemed to work out the way that they wanted. The one where everything was inconvenient. So my invitation is this. This Christmas is an invitation from God to be conscious, to take stock and say, Lord, I consciously am making an act of faith in you here. I consciously am inviting you into this year. I consciously am embracing whatever 2021 is going to bring along, the good, the bad, and the ugly, confident that you are in the middle of all of it. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.